Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This top 10 list is the top 10 pieces of information on every single $1 bill. If you've ever looked closely at a $1 bill, you're going to see all kinds of numbers and letters that means all kinds of different things, and most people have no idea that it's there. So we're going to go through and I'm going to tell you all the little bits and pieces that are on there. I want to thank Gina R for suggesting this. She was talking about it in one of her videos, and that inspired me to try to help clarify everything. Check out Gina R. She's got a really cool channel. She uploads a couple times a week, all kinds of neat stuff on there, and make sure to tell her I sent you and to say hi. All right, I got Gina up here as well, and let's get into it. 10 things, 10 bits and pieces you're going to find on virtually every $1 bill. All right, number 10. I've got a $1 bill. The first thing that you're going to see on a $1 bill is called the series. That's right here. This one is the series of 2009. Now, anytime that you have the both of the signatures changing, that is going to trigger a new series for the most part. Usually after any presidential election, you're going to end up finding a new series because these people will be replaced. If one of them goes, then they will simply put 2009A or whatever on the bottom. So when it comes to the series, that is not the year that the bill was produced. That is the year that the series was issued. So keep that in mind. It's not like change, where every year they put out more and more change with a different year on it. With currency, the series can be printed for a number of years at a time. Right now, we're still printing 2017 notes, even though it's currently 2020. We probably won't see notes that say 2021 until probably almost the end of next year. So yeah, they don't change the year every single time, but anytime both of the signatures change, or anytime there's any minor change to the design, that's when they're going to change the series. So that's number 10. Number 9. Number 9, we're going to go right here. This is the Federal Reserve seal. Federal Reserve Bank of, and there are actually 12 different banks. This particular one is Atlanta, Georgia. So the Federal Reserve seal from Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia is designated by the F, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Because that leads into the next thing. Number 8, I guess we'd call it, is the Federal Reserve number. Now, with there being 12 different Federal Reserves, they do use a letter to designate each of the different reserves. The letters are A through L, which are also the first 12 letters of the alphabet. So, what they will do is, just as a minor security thing, for instance, on Atlanta, F is the sixth letter of the alphabet. They will put 6 on these corners here. That way you can tell that nothing was changed about the bill. So it's just an added security feature. Now, another thing they're going to do is the Federal Reserve that they're from, this one being F, that's also going to appear as part of the serial number. So you'll notice F starts off the serial number as well. So that would be the Federal Reserve number. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about, number 7, would be the actual serial number itself. Now, on $1 bills, the serial number starts with 0001 and goes not to 999. It goes to 96 million is all. If you were to put all nines in here, you'd have a number that would say 99,999,999. But because of the way that they have the notes on sheets, they cut it off at 96 million. It just ends easier that way. One of the things you may realize is when you talk about star notes, you're talking about bills that are 1 out of 3.2 million. Well, 3.2 million, they're worth 32 notes per sheet. So if there was 3.2 million, that would be 100,000 sheets. At 32 per, that gets you 3.2 million. Now, if you just do bigger math, you'll know that 96 million is also divisible by 32. So that's just one of the reasons why you're going to see a number ending that way, ending on 96 million. So that's the serial number itself. Okay. Number 6. Number 6 would be what's called the block. This particular note is an FP block. Blocks are called by the 2 letters that are on either side of the serial number. So the FP block tells you everything you need to know about this particular bill. F, meaning that it is from the Federal Reserve starting with F or Atlanta. And P, well, that gets a little bit more interesting. Like I said, the number itself starts off at 00001 and it goes to 96 million. But what happens when they get to 96 million and one? Well, what happens is this letter here usually starts as an A, and once they do all 96 million, they will roll this letter to a B. Then they'll print out another 96 million. Then they roll it to C, and then D, and so on down the line. So you can see this particular one, they made it all the way to P. So they've rolled over quite a few times on this particular one. So now you know the exact number, you know the Federal Reserve, and you know how many times they've rolled that number over, just to give you an idea of how many notes were actually printed. So that together is called the block. Most people look at that and think serial number. The serial number is just referring to the number itself. The block is the two letters on the outside, and that's what they stand for. All right, number 5. Number 5, the next thing you can tell is the city that the bill was printed in. I'm going to pull this one out here. Now you'll notice right down here, there are these two little numbers, or little letters, FW. That stands for Fort Worth, Texas. That means this bill was printed in Fort Worth, Texas. This bill here does not have that FW. Without that FW, that designates this bill as being printed in Washington, D.C. Those are the only two places that actually print the currency. You can get them out of Fort Worth, Texas, or you can get them out of Washington, D.C. That is where you determine when or where the bill came from, right there. FW Fort Worth, nothing over here, so that's Washington, D.C. Number 4. The next little piece of info, I'll bring this one back up here again, is this letter right here. Now there's a giant C right there, and what that is the section of the sheet that this particular note was printed on. If you would ever see an uncut sheet, it is divided up into different sections. I want to say they're labeled A through H. I could be wrong on that. I'm going off the top of my head there. But anyway, the C designates the particular section that it was in. That's located on another portion of the bill too, and I will get to that shortly. So the sheet section. Now, number 3 on the bill would be the little number right next to it. The little number next to it is the front plate number. Let me zoom in on that one. This one is 161. Now, the front plate number, it's interesting because when you get a stack of bills that are brand new, you would think that they would all have the same plate number, and you would be wrong because they actually use a cylinder when they're doing that, and there's multiple plates on there. Now, every full stack of brand new bills I've ever seen, this number has always jumped by 2 spots. So either all the numbers in the sheets would be odd or all the numbers in the stack would be even, which leads me to believe that they're probably doing these 2 sheets at a time, or at least doing the plates like that. I want to say that they're using at least 4 plates because I believe I've seen 4 different plate numbers in the same straps. So yeah, you'd think since they're all in the same strap, they'd all have been in the same location, which is the case, but it's not necessarily the same plate. Now, number 2 on this would, of course, be the back plate number. The back plate number is located right here. That's number 129. Now, what's interesting about the back plates is the back of the note doesn't change. The back of the note is actually printed first. Now, if you don't care where the note is being printed, or where the note is being released, or whatever Federal Reserve it is, and you just look at the backs, all the backs are the same. So they can print a bunch of the backs before trying to figure out which Federal Reserve it's going to go to, or whether it's going to be a star note, or anything like that. They can just print the backs in bulk. What ends up happening is that they go through all kinds of different plate numbers on the back. And since they don't change, you could have a plate from the 2013 series with a front plate from the 2017 series. Now, when that happens, That's called a mule because, much like a mule, you started off with two parts that aren't supposed to go together. A mule would start with a horse and a donkey, and a mule in currency would start with 2013 and 2017. So, yeah, that would be a mule when the plates don't match. Now, when I say don't match, you're not going to see this number and this number matching ever. That's just extremely, extremely rare for that to happen. However, there are certain numbers that are issued for a certain year, and if they continue to use those plates until they wear out, they may carry over to the next year. So you'll want to check all your books to find out what years actually have mules. But when you're talking mules, that's what you're talking. You're talking about the back plate versus the front plate, generally speaking, and they'll just list whatever front plate would be considered a mule. Now, that's number 2. Number 1 on this list is this teeny little number over here. And what that is that's the actual sheet position for this particular note. When you're talking 32 notes per sheet, I believe, like I said, they were A through H and then 1 through 4. And now they've upped it to 50 notes per sheet. So they're going to be, I want to say A through H and 1 through 5, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that C3 indicates this was in row C, column 3. Now, if you get an uncirculated strap where all the notes are still in numerical order, all of them will come from C3 or whatever number is here. They will all be the same. This will be the same because this indicates the location. And when they print the notes, they print them so that as they are printed and as the sheets fall, they'll come out in numerical order. So by having C3 here, every note in the strap that this came in was all out of C3, even though it may not all be plate 161. Same area, but like I said, 4 different plates going. That changes the plate number, but it does not change the position. So there you have it, 10 little pieces of information on every single $1 bill. I hope that clears up a lot of stuff that's on there. A lot of you may not have even known that any of that stuff was there, or that you could identify a bill that closely just by taking a quick peek. But yeah, that's all the meanings that are on there. That tells you where it was from, and I hope that helps you guys out. I want to thank Gina R. once again for dropping the suggestion. I like the idea because so many people aren't aware of all the kind of stuff. If you haven't checked out her channel and if you haven't subscribed to her, please go over and check her out. I love watching her channel. It's a real fun time over there. If you guys have an idea for a list, leave that in the comments and I'll do my best to get after it. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next week.